We grew up basically south side of Chicago, so I grew up going to Art Institute, all the camps, classes, anything my parents didn't have to pay for or could stick us in, we were there. In high school, I was a troubled youth, so basically I was arrested. Needed to find, quote unquote, by my parents, a better use of my time, so they enrolled me in early college courses at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I originally started at Savannah College of Art and Design, so SCAD. That was 2001. I ended up dropping out in 2003. So I started in metals and jewelry. Decided one day I didn't want to be a jeweler. So then ended up dropping out and then reapplying to the School of the Art Institute. And then oddly enough, from the early college program, those actually counted as college credit. So
nice.
That knocked off about a year. There, got heavily into ceramics. I went to apprentice June Kaneko, who's a world-famous ceramicist in Omaha, Nebraska. So I worked for him for 3 years, finishing that off undergraduate school at University of Texas, San Antonio. June was friends with Ken Little. Ken Little's a world-famous, national artist, basically located in San Antonio.
Nice.
I think, at this point, I really just consider myself an artist. But in terms of background or kind of like accreditation or certification, technically, I'm a ceramicist.
Ceramicist, right.
Right. I've always been attracted to materials.
Yeah.
So in my mind, there's really not too much difference between that and that.
That, yeah.
Right. It's just, it's a different type of relationship, but it's always going to be me responding to a material. I started painting when I was working for Kaneko. So basically, the funny thing about clay is it needs downtime.
Right.
You can't just work on it. You end up with a pile of muck. So basically, the paintings came into play about 2006. I'd be stuck in a building, firing a kiln for 2 weeks straight. Wouldn't be allowed to leave the building, right? So the whole time this kiln's firing, which was the largest personally owned kiln in North America at the time, you had to be there sitting there watching it, right? Because you got kiln loads that are worth, $500,000, tens of thousands of dollars, and you're responsible for it. So basically what I'd do is I'd pick up materials. So I'd get paint, I'd get canvas, I'd get anything I could, knowing that I was going to be basically trapped, not able to go anywhere for, 2 weeks. So I'd work on clay things, and then while those are drying or firming up, I'd hop over to painting. The first things that ever really struck a chord with me, and it's really cliche, but I really, really liked Picasso. And then other things that struck a chord, I think Alexander Calder, and that's probably because we have the same initials, right?
Oh,
so that was, and we have the first same, I like space, right? I'm always going to be intrigued by space. And then also what art can kind of do to space, or how it can manipulate space or control space. And then also kind of playing with the viewer. So in Shinto, there's this idea of Ma, right? And Ma is the energy of the aura of objects, right? So objects in and of themselves have power, right? So objects, depending on where they're displayed, may have more power, may have less power, right? So in my mind, paintings and ceramic, almost the same thing. Right? They're just objects. We're looking at a downtown area, and, day to day, there's normal street life, and you have, plants and trees, and, you have your everyday people walking around, conducting business and stuff like that. So basically what I was looking to do was basically, I'd call it like a visual rift or a rip. So I wanted a tear in your kind of everyday, kind of life.
Yeah.
I always joke, humans are really good at putting things into boxes. So with that piece, day in, day out, basically you have a huge color field, a lot like a Rothko or, any abstract expressionist painter. Then I go in, and then unlike Pollock, because Pollock painted flat, I actually went in with a squirt gun, and I hit you with drips.
Yeah, you're going vertical.
Right, and then I get my sense of gravity, and I get flow. And then from there, I go in with the rectilinear forms. So that way I get a nice broad span, right? And then I also get, really good up and down movement.
Yeah.
I got to the Valley in 2014. Basically, I'd been out of grad school for about 2 years, and then I was working for a famous artist in San Antonio, Bill Fitzgibbons. And basically, I fabricated almost his entire show for IMUS, which is the Museum of Art and Science here in McAllen. So a mutual friend, Brian Wedgeworth, actually was nice enough after Bill go to bed to take me out and kind of show me around, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up finding Harlingen. And I saw his space, which was 5,000 square feet.
Right.
And I look up the wood rafters and I go, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, you don't mind, can I ask what you pay? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. So he told me and I was, whoa, oh, okay. All right. This seems doable. Right. So what was cool about Harlingen was Harlingen still had potential, right? It wasn't all defined yet. And basically, you could carve out a space, or you could make a space, or you could rehab a space, and you could actually afford to do it, right? Unlike a lot of those other cities.
Yeah.
Here, it was kind of, it's still new.
People are hungry for it here.
Right, it's still kind of fresh, and it was exciting. You know, you open up the doors, or you show people new work, and wow, and they actually want to talk to you and ask you questions, or the students come out and interview you, and which is it makes you feel warm, right? It gives you good feels.